Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's mentoring showcase series. This is the first and inaugural event, so welcome. I hope you're having a great afternoon so far. Just a few housekeeping items before we begin. So today is available in both English and French. So if you'd prefer to listen along in French, there's a little globe at the bottom of your screen. You just click that and you'll be able to listen along in French. Um, there is a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to put your questions in there as we are presenting. After today's presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions to the presenters. So please hold your questions till then, but you can put them in the Q&A as well. And today is being recorded, and all registrants will get a recording and the slides after today's presentation. So as I mentioned earlier, today we are focusing on workplace and career mentoring, and this is our first mentoring showcase series. For those of you who this might be your first webinar with us, my name is Ben Dancer, and I'm the Quality Mentoring and Capacity Building Specialist here at Mentor Canada. And in my role, I help organizations advance their quality and impact. And I also manage and facilitate our national community of practice. So before we begin, I just wanted to provide a brief land acknowledgement and state that Mentor Canada respectfully acknowledges that the lands upon which we operate are the traditional territories of the respective First Nations, Métis Nations, and Inuit, who are the longtime stewards of these lands. So we have 4 items on our agenda today. We'll begin by providing a brief background of the purpose and direction of the Mentoring Showcase series. I'll introduce our topic today and our focus, which is workplace and career mentoring. After kind of setting the stage, I'll turn it over to today's speakers. We have 2 exciting speakers today. And at the end of each of their presentations, there will be an opportunity for some Q&A with each of them. So the Mentoring Showcase series is really designed to celebrate the programs and initiatives both within our national community of practice and across Canada. So ultimately, the goal is to really celebrate the power of mentorship and provide kind of that national platform for programs to showcase the valuable work that they're doing in Canada. And it's really an opportunity to discover new partners' approaches to mentorship. So, really focusing on de-siloing the mentoring ecosystem and providing opportunities for mentoring professionals and organizations to learn from one another, share evidence-informed insights and practices, and really discover those new approaches to mentorship and hopefully forge new connections and partnerships that could lead to more long-term collaborations. And for the event, each speaker is given limited slides to showcase their work. So it really is kind of a brief presentation that's really meant to kind of inspire questions and reflection, both during today's event and also afterwards by getting in contact with the presenters. So today's focus is workplace and career mentoring. And just setting some stage of what workplace and career mentoring is and some of the impacts. It's really a strategy for harnessing the power of mentoring to support both career development and workplace belonging and integration, right? So there's that dual focus. So although it's often in the workplace in a professional setting and focused on knowledge and skill development, it's also about providing that social and emotional support to help mentees gain that sense of belonging and really that deep integration into both their immediate team and kind of the larger organization. Of course, it's an effective strategy for attracting, developing, and retaining talent. And, arguably most importantly, it can remove workplace barriers and support DEI efforts. So, workplace mentoring programs are really effective at creating that more democratic and kind of equitable workplace environment by really removing barriers and granting access at a fundamental level, really, to that helpful professional knowledge and skill development opportunities that really might otherwise not be accessible or available if that mentoring program was not in existence. And it offers, benefits really to all parties, so mentees, mentors, and organizations. So a little bit about the impact of workplace and career mentoring before we jump into today's speakers. So for mentees, mentoring programs and mentoring experiences are associated with increased that workplace integration and well-being. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not just about knowledge and skill acquisition, but kind of fostering and nurturing that workplace integration and well-being, really kind of feeling like a part of a team and a part of an organization. It can increase mentees' knowledge of their career options. So mentors can sit down with them and kind of help them navigate the different career pathways within an organization, which can support their professional development and advancement. Mentees can also increase their professional communication and social skills. So, each workplace has slightly different expectations, norms, and kind of the etiquette for communication. And mentors can really help their mentees understand those kind of hidden rules and really adopt those professional communication and social skills, which will help advance their career while kind of maintaining their professional reputation. Obviously, it can lead to increased professional knowledge and skills, career satisfaction as well. It increases mentees' organizational commitment. So by being supported and integrated into the workplace, they have an increase in their commitment to an organization. And it's even been shown in research that mentoring programs can lead over the long term to increase compensations and promotions amongst mentees who participate in these programs. For mentors, it's associated with leadership skills. So offering that opportunity to kind of step into that leadership position and really hone their leadership skills by helping develop another employee. It also can lead to continuous professional learning and growth. So, as some of you may know, sometimes when you're invited to teach something, it really highlights and surfaces your gaps in knowledge. So by acting as a mentor, it really kind of spurs and energizes that continuous professional learning and growth to be an effective mentor, which subsequently increases job performance, career satisfaction, and organizational commitment. So clearly lots of benefits for both mentors and mentees. And then for organizations themselves, mentoring programs are associated with that increased organizational attraction and appeal. So the public and potential employees have been shown to view organizations who have mentoring programs as more attractive and appealing. It can also lead to employee knowledge and skill development, perhaps a bit more obvious. Also, it can lead to increases in employee empathy and kind of an appreciation of diversity. So again, removing those barriers, supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, and just really kind of increasing more diverse connections, relationships, and professional networks within an organization, which can also subsequently lead to employee commitment to organizational culture and values, and support employee retention. So, clearly there's evidence that workplace and career mentoring programs have a powerful impact for both mentors, mentees, and organizations, which is why we wanted to bring together today's speakers because they really do have powerful and valuable examples of workplace and career mentoring programs. So as I mentioned earlier, we have two exciting speakers. The first we'll be hearing from Aaron Love, who's the National Program Manager at the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association. And Mentor Canada has worked alongside the CPRA for several years now and have been consistently impressed with their youth employment experience program. And I invited Aaron to speak today because, the youth employment experience is really a tremendous example of kind of a national approach to mentorship and youth employment that I think everyone on the call today will gain some valuable insights and lessons from. After Aaron, we'll hear from Simone, who's the Career Services Manager at CPA Alberta. And I've been working with Simone for the past few months now, after she completed our Principles of Quality Mentoring Self-Assessment, which is a component of our quality mentoring system. And I also provided a presentation to her colleagues and some of the mentors and mentees in her program, and was really just blown away with the dedication and commitment amongst her staff, and also some of the personal testimonies and stories that I heard from the mentors and mentees in the program that she organizes and manages with some of her colleagues. So I was very excited to invite her to present today as well. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing and then turn it over to Erin to share her screen and present on her program.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. And I'm just going to take a minute here to pull up the slide deck. It's really nice to see you all. And Simone, I'm really looking forward to learning more about the work that you're doing as well. As Ben mentioned, I'm at the Canadian Parks and Recreation Association, otherwise known as CPRA, and we're the National Association for Parks and Recreation in Canada. Really, through our network, we reach about 90% of the municipalities across Canada. So engagement in communities is really our focus. So a little bit about the organization, and I apologize, Ben, I did add a couple more slides on the floor, but I do promise I'll keep it to the time. This is just to give a little bit of context, because I'm not sure where everyone is from on the call. So CPRA really is the national organization for parks and recreation in Canada, and our members include each of the provincial and territorial parks and recreation associations. So if you're calling in from Alberta, there is an Alberta Recreation and Parks Association. They're one of our members. The same holds true for every other province and territory in Canada. We're governed by a board of directors and really sort of volunteers, valuable allies, and lots of government relations in terms of the work that CPRA is doing. And our staff team is physically located here in Ottawa, with many project staff across the country. And I have my colleague here, Gabrielle Sweeney-Tobin, calling in also from Ontario. Thanks, Gabrielle, for being here. So CPRA's goals, number one, we're a voice for parks and recreation across Canada. So we advance the interests of our members. So CPRA really is the platform for our provincial and territorial partners to talk together at a national level. We're a community, so we are really, we work with and for communities, and we ourselves are a community dedicated to the well-being of the natural and built environments across Canada. And we're a service provider, and I'll just circle this one because really this is sort of where we'll focus today, talking about the mentorship program that we're currently running. So CPRA received Government of Canada funding through Employment and Social Development Canada to administer a mentorship program for parks and recreation. This happened in 2019, and we're now in the final of the final year of a 3-year program. So it will wrap up this coming December. The program that we've run is a wage subsidy program. So communities and not-for-profit associations across Canada apply to CPRA to say, hey, we would like to hire a youth in our community to work in parks and recreation. Here's the outreach plan. We have commitments to reach and especially engage youth who would otherwise face barriers to employment. They talk about what mentorship opportunities may or may not be available in their organization. And that's been an interesting growth pattern that we've seen over the last 3 years. In the first year of our program, lots of folks were coming to us saying, oh, well, the supervisor is the mentor because, well, they just sort of are. And over the course of the last 3 years and doing this intentional work with Mentor Canada, we've seen some really inspiring partnerships and relationships being built and some really intentional work around mentorship. So the program itself is a wage subsidy program. We pay for a youth's salary. We also provide some financial support to the mentor or to the workplace so that the mentor can focus right on the relationship. That's sort of like a time away allowance for the mentor's other responsibilities to be picked up while they are mentoring this youth. And additional supports as required. Again, many of the youth who are engaged in our program face barriers, so we try to support those where we can. So the program goals, I think there's 5 of them, is we set out with a goal of engaging about 350 youth across Canada over the 3 years. We're nearly there, having just finished the second year, and we will actually hit somewhere closer to about 500 by the time we finish the 3-year program. We've engaged youth in every province and territory, so we're really proud of some of the work that we're doing, especially in our remote communities that don't often get access to programs like these. Every single youth that's participated in this program has been connected with a mentor, and that relationship and that connection has been made at the community level. So CPRA supports the development of the relationship, but really it's up to the organization, the mentor, the mentee to establish, okay, who is best positioned to be in this mentorship role. In most cases, it is a single individual. In some cases, it's a team approach. So for different specific needs, according to the profile that youth and experience that youth brings with them, sometimes the mentorship relationship is provided by a few other individuals. Goal 3, of course, to build skills. So this is a skills building program. We want to give youth tools to succeed in the parks and recreation sector. Intentionally engage youth who are facing barriers to employment in Canada. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then to provide, of course, the wage subsidy support to communities. And this was in particularly important coming out of COVID when, budgets were many times cut or, hiring again after closures. Sometimes we weren't able to necessarily find funding to hire a youth to train. But when they come with 100% wage subsidy, suddenly that's a much better option for the employer organization. These are the goals for the Framework of Recreation in Canada. So this program is touching upon 4 of the 5 goals. So here's an overview of where we have landed to date. So this is a summary of our 2 years of the 3 in our engagement of the program. So, I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. 335 youth engaged to date, and you'll see 85% of them identify as those who face barriers to employment. So they might be rural, they might be racialized, they might be from a language minority community. They might be newcomers to Canada. They might be Indigenous peoples. They might have a disability. There's a whole host of barriers that people face. And I don't know why that keeps changing. I'm so sorry for that. I'll go back to that slide, but this is just a quick snapshot of who we've engaged, and over $3.5 million has directly gone to youth across the country. So with the help of Mentor Canada and Recreation North, we developed a mentorship guide. So this is a document, it's about 9 pages long, and is broken into sections. We realized that when we embarked on this journey, everyone was coming with a different view or understanding of what mentorship was, or a different appreciation. And so we wanted to really intentionally support people in the mentorship component of this program. So the document outlines roles and responsibilities for the mentor as well as the mentee, and they're encouraged to fill this out and go through this guide together. So roles and responsibilities is a section, contact information about both the mentor and the mentee. Goal setting, so they work on short-term and long-term SMART goals together. And then evaluation, there's another component there. And it's meant to be a working document. It's meant to be organic, but it really is a nice way to sort of frame the relationship right from the outset. These are my commitments as the mentor. These are my commitments as the mentee. And what are the things that we're going to work on together? That document is available on Mentor Canada's website and on our website as well. And then if you're sharing slides, certainly you can share this as well. In terms of the goals and sort of outcomes from the program. So this is feedback that we've received from youth who have engaged in the program. And thanks to the mentorship relationship, they've really found that I think the term you used was workplace belonging, Ben. Finding that they're connecting with their communities, finding that, oh, suddenly I'm interested in a career in this area. This is, I feel like I fit in here. So 80% of them, after working their job, felt connected to Parks and Recreation. Their skills building, you'll see there, 94% of the youth by the end of the program thought that they had strong career-related skills. Sometimes those are hard skills, sometimes those are soft skills. And that mentorship guide outlines many examples of hard and soft skills that the youth can identify early in their journey and focus their learnings on. And then their connection to their community. So this was a really interesting one, especially in our smaller communities where, youth will finish school and may never come back home for jobs, or maybe will say, hey, I don't really feel like I belong here anymore. But working at the community level with the support from the mentorship program, 90% of them felt connected to the place where they were working and their surrounding community. I'll just hold on this slide. This is a quote from an organization, from a mentor, just touching upon the fact that this mentorship relationship impacts both the mentor and the mentee. I think so often we focus on the impact on the mentee, on the youth, in this case for this program, but mentors learn just as much, and they grow and they challenge themselves as well by embarking on these relationships. And so this was a really nice, this gave a good picture of sort of the impact that it had on the mentor as well as the community. And this is a quote, again, feedback from a mentor, talking really about the mentorship package. So the guide that is put together by CPRA goes out to all of the mentors. And then actually tomorrow and Wednesday, CPRA and Mentor Canada deliver a webinar to all of the mentors engaged in our program. Early days, right? We're almost getting ready for summer hiring, or summer jobs have almost started. And so right at the beginning, this additional support is offered to have facilitated conversation and really to support the mentors in their role for this program. We record that session and it's available on our YouTube site for mentors who want to check back on it or who aren't able to join. So that's a little bit about our program. You can learn more about it here. This is the URL. We have some success stories. We've got about, I think, 40 or 50 of them where we've interviewed youth and their mentors to talk about what they've learned and the impact that it's had on them and their community and their skills. I believe every province and territory is represented there. So if you're curious about some of the work that's happening where you are from, please check out the website and read through some of those stories. And I will pause there if there's any questions or opportunities for conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Erin. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to either put it in the chat, the Q&A, or just unmute yourself and ask. We're a bit of a smaller group, so we can do this a bit less formally. Yeah, Vero, go ahead.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Erin. It's nice to see how much progress you've made with this program over the last couple of years. I work with Ben at Mentor Canada. You mentioned that the program is ending and wrapping up at the end of the year. Is there any desire to keep it going, given how successful it's been? I know sometimes it depends on funding, but
yeah, there's a tremendous amount of desire and a tremendous lack of funding, as I think we all sometimes experience, right? And so this program is entirely funded by the Government of Canada through the Youth Employment Skills Strategy Program. And we're hopeful for renewed funding, but again, we won't know until we know. And we're doing everything we can to try and continue with this program. It's had such a positive impact.
Erin, I had one question. So, you mentioned that clearly the program has been really successful over the last 2 years. I'm wondering if there's any for those on the call who are maybe thinking of starting a program like this. What kind of key lessons have you learned along the way that you wish, if I could just go back in time and implement this into the program, I would? Is there anything that kind of jumps to mind on kind of some key lessons that you've learned?
Yeah, so I think providing lots of opportunity for feedback and conversation is really important. We didn't want to be overly prescriptive with this program in the beginning, and we continue to hold to that because every mentoring relationship looks so different, and the people who are involved in those opportunities all come with different levels of experience and interest. So the guide was sort of a brainwave between us and Tracy, I think, many years ago, and we worked on it together, and it's come through different versions and iterations as we improve and fine tune. And I think that's one of the things that we've learned along the way is it's okay to go back and change your work based on your experience, or go back and to revise and go back to say, oh, I didn't make this consideration the first time. Let's make sure we include it in the next version. And so I guess it talks to the goal, or one of the things that we value in a mentorship relationship, which is open dialogue and open conversation and an opportunity to receive feedback and to modify as required.
Great. All right. Well, thanks, Erin. It doesn't look like there's any other questions, so I'll turn it over to you, Simone, if you'd like to share your screen and take it away.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Let me just get this up here. Are you seeing the slides?
Yep, we can see them, Simone.
You're still seeing it, correct?
Yep, we can see it. I don't think you've entered presenter view yet, though.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, hold on. I think I did. You're seeing the screen, correct?
Yeah, so we're seeing like we'll be able to see your notes, but you are in presenter view.
Okay. Let's stop sharing and try that again. So was that still the same, right?
Yeah, so we'll be able to see your notes if you're okay with that, then
I don't think I had any notes there anyways.
okay. Yeah, this is great.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. So good to be joining you. And that the work that the CPRA is doing, so very good. So thank you, Ben, for the invitation. And so I'm representing the Chartered Professional Accountants of Alberta, CPA Alberta. And I'll be sharing with you on our mentorship program. So CPA Alberta is a not-for-profit organization, and our mentorship program is geared towards accountants who are looking to career transition or to, work on their careers. And so who are we? So CPA Alberta is the professional organization for more than 30,000 accountants. And pretty much they are funded by the dues and the fees that are paid. And so the mentorship program itself is free of cost to those who are participating in the program. So that is fully funded by the organization. The vision is to, of course, protect the public. And so part of CPA Alberta's mandate is to protect the public as it relates to funding the accounting practices. And so accountants are bound by the ethics that they gain once they become designated. The CPA Alberta is guided currently by strategic priorities. So one is to protect the public, fulfill market needs, and of course, ensuring that there is a sustainable professional ecosystem. And by doing this, the mentorship program plays a great part in that we are providing accountants with the opportunity to network. So the mentors are able to give back to the profession, provide their skill, experience, and of course the mentees are able to grow from and learn from the experience of the mentors. Now the program structure is one that is built on building that great relationship. And so it's open to all accountants within the Alberta region to be matched to a mentor or a mentee. And so we open the program twice per year and we run for 6 months. And that we have been doing this is a second cohort that we're going to now be having for 6 months. The first cohort ended in March. And prior to that, the program ran for a year. And prior to that, it ran for 18 months. But based on our experience and what we have observed over the years, the long relationship, we were not able to have good relationships lasting 18 months to a year. So persons will start out very eager and then fall off by the wayside. Either the mentee lost interest or the mentor had some engaging relationships. And so the relationships were not continuing throughout the duration. And so the decision was made to have the relationship lasting for 6 months. So this last one that we had worked out pretty well in that we had a high completion rate based on the feedback that we got from both mentors and mentees. And the program is built on building the relationship. So of course it is career development guided. And so we're targeting persons who are looking to either change from either industry to private practice, or you may be a newly designated CPA and want some experience in terms of building your career. We look at one-to-one matching in that once the applications are identified, once we get the applications, then we do what we call an intake call. And in that intake call, we briefly meet with both mentors, mentees, find out what their goals are for the program, what goals they're looking to achieve, and then based on that, we complete the matching. So within the last year, we had 160 applicants and ended up having 140 matches with mentors, mentees. And so we were able to go to match each mentee with a mentor who matched their profile. So they may be looking for someone who may be at the same level that they are looking to get to. So for example, parent, so they may be having difficulty parenting, balancing career, or in some cases, they may be foreign trained, so they're looking to be paired with someone who was foreign trained and has excelled past that, or they may be looking to go from, say, an industry, from oil and gas into private practice. And so we match them based on that. Before the training begins, then we have an orientation. And so from that orientation, they're able to look at what we're expecting from them in the mentorship relationship. We outline the requirements of the program. They're also able to get training on mentorship. And this is a face-to-face. This is online virtual, and we also have it on demand. That is, they're able to go back to the training throughout the period to help in their meetings and one-on-one discussions that they're having. We have recently implemented the check-ins where we call persons after they're matched to see how the relationship has been going. And prior to that, we would have had a one-on-one. We would have had a session where persons are able to do their check-ins. But I'll go into this in terms of what lessons learned. We found that persons were not necessarily turning up to those sessions. And so we made the decision to call persons instead to find out how the relationship has been going. Another key lessons learned is not to be too flexible in the program structure. And so we have found that persons when you get the feedback from participants, we've got to take it with a grain of salt, in that persons were asking for longer relationships. And so initially, that's why we ended up with an 18-month program. But then we realized that the 18-month program, persons were not completing the program. And so we can't be too flexible. Another one is that persons, we had a lot of built-in check-ins. We gave them contracts for them to sign, and also they were to document the number of times that they were meeting. And so then we found that we were not able to identify if persons were still meeting within the program. And so that was taken out. And then we were not able to identify, are persons still meeting? How many persons are still in the program? And so we realized we've got to have our own program structure and have persons fit into that structure, rather than have persons, while feedback is good, we also have to look at what the goals are for our program. So it's good to have established goals for your program, as well as a structure that you want your program to fill. Include engagement strategies as well. How will we engage the participants in the program? So persons want to have input into the program. We have the on-demand training, but we realize persons were not necessarily completing the training that is on demand. And so we have to find another means of engaging. So the midpoint check-in is one that we have established. And to call persons to find out what their feedback is, and also to have a system where persons are able to check in and log when they meet. In our program as well, we identified that a couple of persons were not necessarily satisfied with who they were paired with. And so we didn't realize until later on in the program that some of these persons were not necessarily satisfied. And so one key insight is to schedule post-match follow-ups. And so after persons have been matched, they've met, then we will also have them, we'll also follow up to find how the relationship has been building and to get feedback from the participants in the program about that. And so in a nutshell, that is our mentorship program. Any questions, follow-ups? And of course, if you know any persons who want to participate in a mentorship program, we are taking applications for the second cohort of the 6 months mentorship program.
Thanks for that, Simone. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. Simone, I had one question as you were speaking. Oh, we have a question from Morgan. And then Morgan? I see, Caroline, you unmuted yourself, so I'll come back to you. So Morgan asked, Simone, for your check-in calls, do you use standard questions or is it more of an organic conversation?
So we do have standard questions in terms of what we'd like to get from them, but I generally start out organically. And if those questions are not being answered, then I go to them. But I start out with asking, what their relationship has been like. And then based on that, persons will share, oh, it has been good, or we've been having difficulties, or we've been able to meet. So we start out with standard questions in terms of what we'd like, but the discussion starts out organically.
And then Morgan asked, is the information that you collect during those touch points, Simone, do you use that in your evaluation of the program?
Yes, we do use that in the evaluation of the program. So this cohort that will be starting in September, we have made some changes based on the discussions that we've had or the feedback that we got from participants. And so another one is that, for example, we paired persons and then we would have had them meet and have their training. So what we're going to be doing now, we'll pair, then we'll allow them to meet and then provide us with feedback as well if they think that they are a good fit or if they would like to change. So they're able to meet before the actual mentorship relationship begins.
Caroline?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I work for HLC and we've launched a mentorship program over the past few years, and we're facing the same problem on a regular basis. We always have more mentees than mentors, and I was wondering if you have the same challenge, and if so, what do you do to répondre à ce problème? Sorry.
Okay. So for the last year, we had actually more mentors than mentees. Wasn't a lot more, maybe about 5 or 6 more mentors than mentees. But what we have done is that we're targeting specific groups. And so we are now looking at targeting females, executives, and we're also targeting mentors who have been, or persons who have been designated for 5 years or more. And so we are sending out targeted emails to the different groups of persons depending on who we would like in the program.
Aaron, did you have any insights on Carolyn's question that you wanted to bring up? No? Okay, so Michelle.
I might have missed the question. Sorry, was that directed at me?
Yeah, Carolyn, do you wanna
Sorry, Caroline.
bring your question up?
I was asking if you, si vous avez, can I speak French or?
Oui, absolument.
Okay, sorry, sorry. Si vous avez le même problème que nous, c'est-à-dire souvent avoir plus de mentees que de mentors. Et si oui, qu'est-ce que vous faites pour résoudre le problème?
Okay. So the question, do we sometimes have more mentees than mentors? For us, no, in our program, because it's sort of grant-based. So it's matched 1-to-1 always. Sometimes we have situations where an organization will say there isn't a mentor available for now. But exactly as was just sort of suggested in the chat by Catherine, we'll sort of do a team approach as well. We'll say, well, is there somebody else, or is your provincial or territorial association will step in and they'll offer someone.
Or do you have the possibility where you may have, where one mentor will mentor more than one person?
We don't, because again, it's tied to funding. So we only have one youth per match.
Okay. But maybe that's something, for example, we could do that. We do see other programs that the mentor can mentor up to 2 or 3 mentees.
We have another question from Michelle, who asked, I think this was for you, Simone. So you mentioned that the mentoring relationships are tracking their meetings online. What platform are you utilizing to do so?
So we're just going to be implementing that. And we do have a platform, Doshibo, that we are building that into. So it's not yet existing. we're just building that in.
Okay, are there any other questions that anyone would like to bring up before we end today's session? Now would be the time. Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Simone and Aaron, for those lovely presentations. I think we learned a lot, and I'm glad that we had this kind of lively discussion at the end. That's what these are all about. I'm going to drop a link to a brief evaluation form for everyone to let us know how you thought today's event went, how we can improve, things like that, and some ideas for maybe our next event. So please complete that if you'd like. And with that, thank you for attending today's session. I will note that we have another community of practice event happening this Thursday, 2 to 3 Eastern. We have our professional reading group. So if you'd like to attend that, you can visit our website to learn more, and I'll send out also a registration link to everyone at the end of today's call. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Great, thanks for you guys.
Thank you. Merci à vous.
Have a great rest of the afternoon. Bye.